Would everyone please give a round of applause to the Rhythm of the Ridges band, the jazz band who played for us tonight. They did a great job. Last Sunday, I know that several of us watched in amazement as Tiger Woods accomplished what only a few years ago many considered to be an impossibility. We all know the story. Tiger last won the Masters in 2005. By that time, he had already sealed his reputation as arguably the greatest of all time. Of course, Jack Nicklaus has an argument to make of his own. Between 2005 and 2008, Tiger would go on to win the Open Championship twice, the PGA Championship twice, and the U.S. Open. But then the unthinkable happened. Tiger's personal life became beset with turmoil, scandal, and embarrassment. Beyond those distractions, which inevitably resulted in the loss of prestige and endorsements and a substantial decline in his performance, Tiger also became plagued with debilitating injury after injury after injury. After being at the precipice of greatness for his entire career, it now became apparent that Tiger's star was in decline, would likely never reemerge, and that he would never return to the form that made him perhaps the greatest athlete in the world. There is an analogy here for us tonight who find tremendous amount of meaning and purpose in athletics. For years, Tiger maintained a revered, almost superhuman aura. He was as far removed from you and I as is humanly possible. But Tiger's fall from grace and his subsequent physical struggles reminded us that he is much more like us than we had ever before imagined. He is human. He is fallible, sometimes on a grand scale. His body can and did break. He became distracted. He became derailed. He was ultimately humbled. All of us, I imagine, can identify with the disappointment of poor choices, of missed opportunities, of failure. But thankfully, that's not the end of the story. To be sure, failure is a big part of life. It's a big part of learning. It is central even to redemption. What, after all, is one redeemed from if not failure? I'm thankful that failure is not the end of the story, but is only the beginning of the inspirational imperative to repair oneself, to rebuild relationships, and to again become rising and not falling stars. If this is a human story, then to rise up again is to lift us all up again, as Tiger Woods did this past Sunday as we celebrated his first Masters win in 14 years, his first majors win of any sort in 11 years. The honorees tonight, both our Hall of Fame inductees and our Vonn finalists, have spent their lives and their careers lifting us all up. Like any human story, they come complete with their own valleys as well as hilltops. But tonight, we celebrate the hilltops. Tonight is not merely a celebration of community, scholarship, and athleticism. In a very real sense, it is a celebration of one another, of the sublime privilege it is to be a part of the human race. The list goes on and on and on. One not need look very far to see incredible feats of human desire, commitment, passion, and inspiration. Indeed, they occur within our own community with regularity, from the storied coaching careers of coaches Craig Parrott and Jack Mayo, to the selfless and stalwart support of Michael and Sandra Jenkins, David Plummer, and Nelson Bowers. From the exhilarating achievements of Heather Stone Williams, Jacob Harris, Jerome Foster, and Peggy Berry, to the tireless devotion epitomized by Chuck Murphy. One only need to encounter the boundless joy and enthusiasm, the very living, breathing, beating heart of the Panther contained within the soul of Cody Cope, to know that life is good and that it is indeed a thrill and a blessing to be a part of the human race. There's also something very peculiar about human beings. I pointed out last year that one of our most interesting distinctives, a feature that truly distinguishes us from all other forms of life, is our propensity to remember and to memorialize. From the most ancient of times, there have been an imperative for people to remember. We read in Deuteronomy chapter 32, "Remember the days of old, consider the generations past, ask your fathers, and he will tell you." Tonight, we do just that. The time is now upon us once again to remember the days of old, to consider the generations past, and to memorialize them forever for all who should be privileged to walk the halls of Ridgeland High School in this and every future year. It is my privilege, therefore, to preside over the induction of the 2019 Ridgeland High School Hall of Fame class, to officiate as our 13 honorees become enshrined within our lore forever. Tonight, however, is not just about the past. Tonight is also about the present and the future. Alongside the heroes of past years, we celebrate and honor our present student athletes whose hard work, dedication, and commitment to excellence distinguish them from among their peers. Tonight, 2 Ridgeland Panther athletes, 1 male and 1 female, will be recognized from among their peers and from among a pool of incredible, highly deserving classmates and teammates as the most outstanding student athletes of the year. The award they will receive is, appropriately enough, named after Vonn Bell, not only one of the greatest athletes to ever come out of North Georgia, but also one of the most selfless, absolutely finest gentlemen a coach and an educator could hope for. We are proud to have his name and his legacy forever attached to our school and to this event. Let me say a brief word about the Vonn Bell Award. The award that recognizes the most outstanding female and male athletes of the year. Each month, the Ridgeland High School Athletic Department coach names a male and female athlete of the month. This honor was based upon the coach's nomination and was awarded to those student athletes who represent the highest levels of leadership, citizenship, selflessness, and outstanding achievement on and off the field. Each student was awarded a certificate, and their names were published on the school's website and social media outlets. Each of these student athletes are, in their own right, highly qualified and deserving of being named finalists for the Vonn Bell Award. But from among this pool, 6 finalists were named and will be recognized tonight. At this time, however, I'd like to call off the names of each of the outstanding student athletes who were named Ridgeland High School Athletes of the Month. Terrence Roberts for football, Savannah Kelly for cheerleading, Elliott Jones for cross country, Lane Hicks for softball, William Voiles for cross country, Grayson James for softball, Jacob Mariakis for wrestling, Mackenzie Howard for basketball, Stefan Hulligan for band, Dearica Irvin for basketball, Daniel Barrett for riflery, Trinity Tate for cheerleading, Dennis Bean for esports, Tanner Hill for baseball, Alexis Quarles for riflery, Lauren Kane for golf, Maggie Dixon for track and field, and Ryan Grasham for golf. Please give a round of applause for all of our athletes of the month. Throughout this evening, we will be introducing you to each of our Vonn Bell Award finalists. And now for the Hall of Fame criteria and selection process. The purpose of the Ridgeland High School Athletic Hall of Fame is to honor and recognize athletes, coaches, administrators, and community members who have made distinctive, noteworthy, and outstanding contributions to the athletic program at Ridgeland High School. Last year, for the first time ever, the Ridgeland community was invited to nominate persons as candidates for the honor of being inducted into the Hall of Fame. We continue that tradition this year. As stated in the mission, candidates are those of exceptional character who have made distinctive, noteworthy, and outstanding contributions to Ridgeland athletics. Candidates may be inducted in one of the following categories: former athlete, former coach or administrator, community contributor, or posthumous recognition. Former athletes must have graduated as a Ridgeland Panther and will become eligible for inductions 5 years after their graduation. Former coaches or administrators likewise become eligible 5 years after their retirement. Community contributors and those receiving a posthumous recognition are eligible for immediate induction following their nomination. This year, all nominations were reviewed and selections were made by the Hall of Fame committee and current members of the Hall of Fame. I'd like to invite the members of the 2019 Ridgeland High School Athletic Hall of Fame to stand and be recognized when I call their name and as we give them a warm round of applause. Mr. and Mrs. Michael and Sandra Jenkins, Mr. David Plummer, Coach Jack Mayo, Mrs. Heather Stone Williams, Mr. Jacob Harris, Coach Craig Parrott, Mr. Jerome Foster, Mrs. Peggy Berry, Mr. Nelson Bowers, And of course, Mr. Cody Cope. Our first inductees of the evening are Mr. and Mrs. Michael and Sandra Jenkins. Even though Michael and Sandra Jenkins both started their teaching careers at other schools, it didn't take long for them to gravitate back to their own alma maters. They were both lifelong residents of Walker County and products of the Walker County public school system. Michael taught at his former Chattanooga Valley High School from the late 70s until it closed to consolidate with Rossville. Then he continued teaching at Ridgeland High from opening day until he retired in 2014. Sandra went back to Chattanooga Valley to teach at her elementary school from 1981 to 2016 when she retired. Together they were instrumental in shaping the academic lives of countless Ridgeland athletes as well as countless other students. As you all know very well, no pass, no play. Their contributions to the athletes came not so much on a field or court, but in the classroom. They firmly believed and worked to instill in their students the importance of academic excellence combined with athletic success, not just during high school, but throughout their adult lives. Michael did actually coach a very successful team at Ridgeland, the Academic Scholars Bowl team. If you ever attended a football game at Ridgeland, you were probably greeted by one of the Jenkins. They continued to work these posts after retirement until this past year when Mr. Jenkins fought his final battle with cancer and we lost him in October. Their support for Ridgeland High School was always evident and their influence has covered many generations. Please give Miss Sandra Jenkins a round of applause as she accepts this induction on behalf of herself and her husband. I give you Mr. and Mrs. Michael and Sandra Jenkins.
This indeed has been a very hard year, but then things like this happen, and I'm reminded of how truly blessed and fortunate I was to be married to this man for 48 years. And on behalf of him and myself, thank you for including me, and we will forever be part of the Ridgeland family, and my gratitude goes to each of you. Thank you.
And by the way, I forgot to mention earlier, if you need to move in order to see better or hear better, we've actually set some chairs up here on the side. Feel free to get up and move to those if you need to. Mr. David Plummer has been selflessly serving the Chattanooga Valley, Flintstone, Ridgeland community for 55 years in various capacities. He spent 30 years coaching Pee Wee, midget, and junior high football, Dizzy Dean and Dixie Youth Baseball, and CVRA Girls Softball. He also served as president of the Recreation Association, president and vice president of the PTO at Chattanooga Valley Elementary, working member of the CV High School Football Booster Club and Chattanooga Valley High School Band Booster Club. In addition, he served over 15 years as a firefighter for Walker County Volunteer Fire Department, 26 years in the Army and Army National Guard, where he achieved the rank of Staff Sergeant and served in the Persian Gulf War. He is a charter member of the Chattanooga Valley Lions Club, member of VFW Post 3679, American Legion Post 214, and a long-standing member in good standing of Chattanooga Valley Baptist Church. When Chattanooga Valley High School and Rossville High School consolidated to form Ridgeland High School, he became an instant and devoted Panther supporter. 2 of his 5 children attended Ridgeland High School, and their involvement in the Panther softball, soccer, and multiple academic programs was a catalyst for his direct, hands-on involvement in many pursuits. During the principalship of Dr. Swafford, Mr. Plummer served as Ridgeland's nighttime custodian, and it soon became a matter of routine that we'd greet the Panther football team at the field house on Friday nights after away games in order to greet the team and ensure that their various needs were met upon their return. After his retirement, David and his wife of 56 years, the lovely former Miss Peggy Parrott, can always be found sitting in on the hill beside the field house, cheering on the Panthers every Friday night. They also can be found in the stands of many away games following the action. If they are not present at the games, they are watching it via live stream. I am not exaggerating when I say that as long as there is breath in David Plummer, there will be a devoted supporter of the Panther Nation. It is my distinct pleasure to induct Mr. David Plummer into the Ridgeland Hall of Fame class of 2019. Please give a round of applause to the great Mr. David Plummer.
Good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be a supporter of Ridgeland. You know, we merged these two schools, and I've seen Ridgeland grow from these two schools. It was rough at first, but everything gets rough around the edges every once in a while. But I've seen a lot of students come out of this school and do very well. And they still got a lot of students that's going to do very well. They're going to have to keep that nose to the grindstone. But I don't think the committee, Coach Klein, I could tell you a lot of stories about Coach Klein, but bless his heart, he's been a fixture here, and he's worked very hard. I thank you for this award. I don't deserve it. There's a lot of people sitting out there probably deserve it more than I do, but thank you so much.
Real quick together. At this time, I would like to introduce our first finalist for the Vonn Bell Award, Miss Mackenzie Howard. Please turn your attention to the screen.
Well, it started in middle school. I wanted to be a three-sport athlete like all through middle school. And so I was like, well, I'll just try basketball my 6th grade year. So I started it. I wasn't really good at it, but like I developed a love for it. So by like my 7th, 8th grade year, I was like, okay, I can do this. Then I got to high school and it like started all over again. I was like, maybe I can't. Then it was more junior and senior years when I started. I was like, I really love doing this. Like I could do this like every day, every weekend. Like that was my main priority.
Well, what Mackenzie's best attribute is as a leader is that she shows up every day, and then that influences everybody else. You know, if you have leaders that are promoting positive attitude, hard work sort of thing, it just rubs off.
I try to keep a positive attitude, you know, and just try to keep everybody up, either on the court, off the court. Like, you have to respect everybody in order to get respect. You can't just be rude to this person and expect them to just bow down to you or anything. You have to, like, be nice to anybody and everybody. Freshman year, I used to be so scared to play. Like, I just sit on the bench and be like, oh, okay. And then Coach Bob's look for somebody to come in. I'd be like, oh, not me. But then by my senior year, I was ready. Like, I didn't want to come out at all. I wanted to stay in the whole game. And I got so mad when he'd take me out, even if I needed a break.
We were sitting one day at practice, just finished getting ready, the boys were getting ready to go, and we had the game chairs out. And she was sitting there and she was telling some of the young girls about how she sat on the bench when she was a freshman. I would walk down the bench to go sub somebody in, and she would kind of lean back and hide, like, you know, I don't want to go in. And then she kind of talked about how she progressed from then. So the next year she would kind of lean up a little more, and then her junior year she was kind of aggravated if she was coming out, and then her senior year she just flat out told me, she's like, I'm not coming out, you know. And when I would take her out, it would be she would sit right next to me or the assistants and expect to go back in.
I mean, yeah, like if something's getting hard, you don't need to just find something even harder just to like stress yourself out. You need to just calm down, go back to the basics, just start from the bottom and just work your way back up.
Ladies and gentlemen, please give a big round of applause to Miss Mackenzie Howard as she comes forward to accept her finalist trophy. Miss Mackenzie Howard.
I just want to say it's an honor to receive this award and be a finalist. Just thank everybody that helped me along the way. Thanks.
She said it's a long walk. Mr. Chuck Murphy first showed his face in Walker County schools when his granddaughter began at Rossville Elementary. Because she was diabetic, Chuck made it his duty to be her caretaker. From Rossville, he followed her to Chattanooga Valley Middle School and then ultimately to Ridgeland. Chuck soon became beloved among the RHS office staff due to his tendency to arrive with treats from Land's Bakery. His son, Chuck Murphy Jr., worked for Ridgeland for 11 years. That gave Big Chuck the green light to become a permanent fixture around campus. He came every day to eat lunch and fellowship with the lunch ladies. They fed him well, and he loved the company. He also sat through all 4 lunches every day and became the official school lunch monitor. Over the years, Chuck learned the kids at Ridgeland by name. Realizing he was genuine in his love for them, the Ridgeland students came to know him and love him in return. He had encouraging words and praises for some, and he preached to the ones that needed it. He had a special place in his heart for the students with disabilities. Chuck also served as Santa Claus at Ridgeland for many years, a tradition now continued by Coach Keith Mariakis. Santa Chuck enjoyed having the students get their pictures made with him. He truly was a jolly old soul. Chuck, of course, became an avid Ridgeland football fan. He and his son did not miss a game, home or away, for 7 years. He cheered for his team from the hill. He donated his time, labor, and equipment for various jobs on the Ridgeland campus, like the time he stayed after a football game so he could roll the big lumps and bumps from the field so the kids could play on it the next week. He always wanted what was best for the kids, so he was thrilled to see the artificial turf installed. He admired the new field and believed to have first dubbed Bowers and Painter Field the pride of North Georgia football. After Chuck's passing, a memorial was placed precisely on his spot on the hill so that he can continue to be present on Friday nights when his beloved Panthers play. I encourage everyone here to go find that memorial some Friday night so that you can cheer the Panthers to victory along with him. He will forever be a part of the Ridgeland family. It is my pleasure to induct the great Big Chuck Murphy into the Ridgeland Hall of Fame class of 2019. Please give a warm round of applause to Mr. Chuck Murphy Jr., who will accept this induction on his father's behalf. Mr. Chuck Murphy.
What an honor it is for me to be here tonight to accept this award on behalf of my dad. I would like to thank Ridgeland High School and the Hall of Fame Committee for nominating him. If he was here right now, he'd tell us all how much he deserves this award. Football was just one of many things he loved about Ridgeland. Most of all, he loved his Ridgeland family. He was a true Ridgeland Panther. What an honor it is for his family to know that he will never be forgotten here at Ridgeland High School. Thank you and God bless.
Coach Jack Mayo has been a fixture in the North Georgia coaching ranks from 1968 to 2003. Jack was a scholarship athlete at LaGrange College, where he was a standout in basketball and baseball. He began his coaching and teaching career in 1968 at Noonan County High School, where he served as head basketball coach and middle school football and baseball coach. In 1970, he moved to Chattooga County High School as head basketball, head baseball, and assistant football coach. During his tenure there, Coach Mayo's teams made numerous regional appearances, winning several and advancing to the state tournament. In 1978, Coach Mayo came to Rossville High School, where he served as head basketball coach until Rossville closed in 1989. He also served as head baseball coach for 3 years and assistant football coach. Upon the consolidation of Rossville and Chattanooga Valley, Coach Mayo moved to Ridgeland High School and served faithfully until 2003 as head track coach, assistant football coach, and social studies department chair. His outstanding efforts as a teacher did not go unnoticed, and he was awarded prestigious Teacher of the Year honors in 1998. Following his career as a classroom teacher, he continued to serve in the capacity of a guidance counselor until his retirement in 2003. Today, Jack continues to be involved in our community. He can't go anywhere, and I mean anywhere, where he won't hear, "Hey, Coach Mayo," from a former student. To say that he is beloved is an understatement. Jack was married to the lovely Brenda Goodrow Mayo for 51 years, and he is the proud father of 3 beautiful children, Melissa, Joy, and Jay, the proud grandfather of 6 beautiful grandchildren, and the proud great-grandfather of 1 great-grandchild. It gives me great pleasure to recognize and honor Coach Jack Mayo for a lifetime of contributions to the youth of the Ridgeland community. Give a warm round of applause to the next member of the Ridgeland High School Hall of Fame class of 2019, the great Coach Jack Mayo.
I'm not used to getting many awards, and I'm not used to standing up in front of a lot of people and talking. Generally mine were 5 or 11, you know, but I do feel like this is an honor, and I'm very appreciative, although I feel like I'm very undeserving. My kids were the ones that deserve all of this, and I'm so thankful for my family, because they've supported me throughout my coaching career. And I think that the reason that I was a coach was that God called me to be a coach. You know, I was working, had a good job, wasn't looking for a job, and Newnan High School called me and offered me the baseball job. When my wife found out what I was gonna make, she wanted me to work instead of coach. But I am very appreciative for this honor, and I'm very appreciative for my family and their support. Thank you very much.
At this time, I would like to introduce our next finalist for the Vonn Bell Award, Mr. Tanner Hill.
I think winning helps a lot just as a boosted confidence, just because losing can help. If you're playing, say if you're playing a really good team, losing can help just to kind of put you at a level higher than what you're going to be playing during the season. So like the preseason games, especially that we had this year against like Calhoun Troop and Sandy Creek, that put us, those were games that nobody expected us to win any of them, and we ended up coming out with one of them just because those games got us to a level that was a lot higher than the people we ended up having to play in region. And that just helped us a lot, especially winning that last one, because you could see how we progressed from Calhoun to Sandy Creek all the way to the end of the season.
Tanner Hill has always been a leader of mostly all of his class, and the teams he's been on. You know, he's been the quarterback. He came up here as an 8th grader, highly touted from the middle schools, and he's done everything we've asked him to do.
You just got to be able to know everything that's going on, and I thought that's what I held the most high to myself, especially, was just knowing what each and every person had to do so that I could be there to correct and make sure everything was running smoothly, because being the quarterback, you got to know that, and you're the head of everybody on the offense, so you got to know what everybody needs to do and what they're supposed to be doing. Being the quarterback in the offense we ran before, I didn't really do a whole lot. I turned around and handed the ball off to other people. But then when Coach Braswell came in, our offense completely changed, and it put a lot of stuff into my hands.
He has worked tirelessly to try to be the best quarterback he can be, and also the best baseball player he can be.
Just to make sure you come out of every game knowing you gave it your all and did your best. Because if you come out of a game and you didn't do everything you could have, and you know you didn't, or you slacked off on some area just because, I don't know, that night you just didn't feel like it, that's a loss even if you did win the game. I've known Coach Harden, and Coach Harden's helped me for as long as I can remember. My brother was up here before me, so I knew him then. Even before then, I knew him. And when I came in, just the main thing he's always said since freshman year was that baseball's going to end one day, and the kind of person you are outside of the sport means a lot. And I've kind of took that and ran with it since freshman year, and that's just kind of been my motivation, is to make sure that I do a lot more than just get better at baseball, get better at being a man. And Coach Harden's done a great job at helping all of us to do that.
Ladies and gentlemen, please give a round of applause to Mr. Tanner Hill as he comes forward to accept his finalist trophy.
I just want to thank Coach Klein, Coach Harden, and Coach Wright for always pushing me through both sports, football and baseball. They're there throughout the whole year. Most of all, God, I wouldn't be here without him, and just the great people around me that have pushed me to be the man that I am.
Our next inductee is Miss Heather Stone Williams. And to induct Mrs. Williams, I'm pleased to introduce her coach, future Ridgeland Hall of Famer, the legendary Coach Lance Hall.
I was asked to make sure, could you hear me? Coach Hilly, can you hear me? All right, good. Thank you for this opportunity. First, I have to ask your forgiveness. My ex-wife says I make everything about me, so if I make this about me, I'm sorry. And if I get a little emotional about this place, Ridgeland is special. It does hurt to go in the gym and not see any banners that my girls gave their blood, sweat, and tears for. Not hanging. And I can't even make it into the first part without getting emotional. And forgive me for getting emotional about Heather. And I'll tell you more about that later. Since this is an this is Athletic Hall of Fame, I will not bring up the fact that she graduated 4th in her class here at Ridgeland, or she was a member of the Order of the Gownsman Honor Society at the University of the South, or she graduated with distinction with a master's. I will not bring that up. I will not bring up her professional accomplishments of being one of the few women in law enforcement and one of the fewer women on the Special Weapons and Tactics team here in Chattanooga. I will not bring those up. But I will bring her athletic career up. Here at Ridgeland, she played volleyball, basketball, cross country, track, and soccer. And she had a lot of records here, but those records may not, I don't know them all, but this is what I do know. In volleyball, they made the state tournament 3 times, 2 region championships and 1 region runner-up. We should have had 3 straight region championships, but she turned her ankle in the semifinals. And back then, our region had 14 teams in it, and only the top 2 went to state. She played basketball on 4 state playoff teams, 3 region championships and 1 Final Four. Cross country, 2 region championship teams, 4 individual region championships and state placer. In track, 8 individual region championships, a 4-time state placer. She placed in the 3200, and her highest placing was the 800 meter second place her junior year. All told, she was responsible for 19 region championships here. She also lettered 19 times. If you count that up, there's 2 band letters in there too, if you want to check that out. Then she went on to the University of the South. And this is where it gets interesting. She played varsity volleyball there. She also ran cross country, 2 conference championships, NCAA regional champion, and placed 5th in the nation in cross country. In track, 14 individual conference championships. 2-time NCAA national champion. All-American, All-Academic American. She's also on her all-conference team, all-time all-conference. The coaches of that conference did a poll, what was the most memorable events in cross country in the history of the conference. Heather's responsible for number 2 and number 3. That's not the most impressive thing. The most memorable event in their conference history, not university history, conference history, is Heather. Her senior year and her senior track meet, conference track meet, she won 6 individual awards and outscored 5 teams by herself. No other male or female athlete has scored that many points in a track meet before then or since then. And she still competes in all kinds of CrossFit things and all, I don't know what they are. She just runs around everywhere. But I wish you could have seen her play. I wish you could have seen her run. I guess you can still see her run. She probably still runs everywhere. To get lost in the game, to get lost in the run, to get in the zone. We hear about the zone. She could get it. She could get there. And I have about 100 Heather stories, and I was talking this over with my son, one of my sons. He said, let's go one that's most personal. And I said, I don't know if I can do that. But I was a beginning coach. We were just starting to get volleyball going here. We were just starting to get competitive. And I can tell you the date, July 20th, 1992. And that door right over there, Heather Stone and her mom walked into my gym, and she said, I want to play volleyball. We got good real quick. I can still see her playing, that hair flopping, those blue eyes when it come ass-kicking time. She was a sight. The explosiveness. She's one of the few women, if you're in a volleyball gym, her explosiveness in the jump, her hit when she was spiking the ball, the power she would bring. I never figured out you spiked right-handed and right-left. Never figured that one out. But for me personally, she made my career. I don't know if I'd still be coaching after 32 years if she had not walked into my gym. I believed in my number 10, and my number 10 believed in me, and we went on a heck of a ride. And for me personally, Van Treese had Latrice McLean and all her folks. Krista Seconder had Tiffany Turner. Coach Barry had Cindy Lou Ross. I had my number 10. I had Heather. And I wish you could have seen her play. What I've always admired about Heather, she never wants to dominate her competition. She don't want to injure or embarrass anyone. She has her level of excellence that she's going to go pursue on the court or on the track. And if you get in her way, oh well. But that's where she's at. As I finish up, one of my swimmers, and I coach swim now, was in my office. She saw my notes. And this young lady's a champion in her own right. Said, who is she, Wonder Woman? And I laughed and said, no, but she could probably play Wonder Woman. I'd like to amend that. I think Wonder Woman needs to play her in the story about Heather's life. As I look back over my 32 years of coaching, I am so proud and honored to say I coached Heather. And ladies and gentlemen, with affection and a special sense of pride, there's no place that I'd rather be than right now. And I have the honor to induct my number 10 to the Ridgeland Hall of Fame, Miss Heather Stone Williams.
Thank you, Coach Hall. You got me all choked up and teared up now. But you were truly amazing. This is truly an honor. It's an even bigger honor to have Coach Hall presenting this. I couldn't have done it without his support, his true leadership. Again, this is truly an honor. And I'd like to thank my mom, too, because she's here, and she was with me the entire trip, all along the way. She never missed a game. She never missed a track meet. She never missed a basketball game. She never missed a cross-country meet. So she was with me as well, but I couldn't have done it without the support of Coach Hall and my family. Thank you.
Before there was Jacob Mariakis, there was Caleb Mariakis and Chris Henderson. But before there was Caleb and Chris, there was Jacob Harris. During his career as a student at Ridgeland from 1996 to 2000, Jacob competed in football as well as soccer, but it was in the sport of wrestling that he would cement his position as one of the greatest, most accomplished athletes in the history of Ridgeland High School and all of Walker County schools. Hints of his future greatness were foreshadowed during his freshman year when he compiled a 34-9 record at the 130-pound weight class on his way to earning 4th place in Region 7 3A, qualifying for the GHSA State Tournament and placing 5th in the Ohio Tournament of Champions. During his sophomore campaign, Jacob wrestled at 135 pounds and compiled a 46-4 record on his way to placing third at the prestigious Macaulay Invitational and earning the most falls for the tournament, winning the Ooltewah tournament, winning Region 7 3A championship, and winning his first state championship. Over the next 2 years, wrestling at 140 pounds and 152 pounds, Jacob amassed an amazing 90 wins and only one loss. That loss, by the way, is still under review, for a cumulative high school record of 170-14. He would win the Macaulay Invitational twice, the prestigious Brett Warren tournament twice, the Dalton tournament twice, and the Ooltewah tournament twice. Most importantly, he won 2 more region and state championships. A 2-time Chattanooga Times First Team Best of Preps member and a Chattanooga Free Press First Team All-Star, Jacob was heavily courted to wrestle at the collegiate level. His services ultimately went to the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga, where in 2003 he would earn First Team All-Southern Conference honors, a Southern Conference championship, and an NCAA Division I qualification. Mr. Harris, following college, returned to Walker County Schools as a coach at Rossville Middle, Lafayette Middle, and Saddle Ridge Middle. He is the organizer of the North Georgia Wrestling League, a nonprofit organization with the mission of encouraging youth participation in wrestling. The NGWL has 14 league teams and growing, 6 tournaments, and an average participation of over 250 youth wrestlers. It is my absolute pleasure to induct Jacob Harris into the Ridgeland Hall of Fame class of 2019. Please give a warm round of applause to the great Mr. Jacob Harris.
Let me unfold my paper. Sorry. I'll try to make this quick. I want to thank you for the honor of being inducted into the Hall of Fame. I spent a great deal of time trying to figure out what I was going to say and who all I needed to thank. There's countless teachers, the administration that was here. Dr. Swafford was amazing as a principal. I had a ton of coaches. So first I need to thank my family. My mom realized pretty quick that I was not going to be a basketball player. I was terrible. And at 8 years old, I had a passion for professional wrestling. So I loved some WWF and WCW. And so they signed me up for rec wrestling. And I spent the entire school day telling everybody that I was going to be a professional wrestler because I had no idea what wrestling was. My cousin Timbo took me to my first practice, and he had to explain to me because I was really confused that there was no wrestling ring. So eventually I ended up at Lakeview and went 34-9 or something like that. It was a tough season for me. I wasn't used to losing that much. I did pretty good in middle school. As a freshman, though, I couldn't. It was just tough being a freshman. I ended up wrestling two juniors. One got third at state, one got fifth at state, and then Ridgeland had a kid that was a senior, and I ran into him at the region tournament and every other local tournament. I had to run into these older guys. So 3 of the top 6 placers of state was, in every tournament I went to. My brother had transferred over to Ridgeland before me, and he introduced me to the wrestling team. They were going to go to a national tournament, go wrestle in Ohio, and I started practicing with them and ended up over here at Ridgeland. They had Coach Hughes was at the time the coach. He was a great coach. Coach Klein was my assistant coach. I had 4 different head coaches in high school, 3 while I was here. Coach Klein took over my junior year, and he was head coach. We brought in some community coaches to help me. Coach Klein went back to being the assistant coach my senior year. He helped me cut my weight. And then senior year, we had a Coach Moss come in. So Went on to UTC. Like they said, I wasn't as successful as I would have liked to been, but the one takeaway I came from walking away from UTC and getting into education was I realized that I wanted to just help my community. You know, these records, state championships, it's nice, and it's nice to be honored for these things, but I feel like being a coach and being a teacher, hopefully I'll leave a bigger impact and a better legacy than just state championships. Coach Klein has been very impactful in my life, and so have the other coaches I had, and hopefully I can return that. I want to thank my wife. She's the one who forces me to have to speak. I would have just come up here and just said thank you. I met my wife here at this school. This school is very special to me. Very fortunate. Thank you for everything. Thank you guys.
Travis Middleton always gives me a hard time about my token pro wrestling reference. I'm a big fan, so Jacob has done it for me. I don't have to tonight, so thank you for that. At this time, I would like to introduce our next finalist for the Vonn Belt Award, Miss Grayson Cadillac James.
My freshman year, I tore my knee, and I didn't know if I was going to be able to play again the way the athlete I was. And it really taught me to never give up and to really just overcome the adversity, because you're going to face a lot of adversity in life and in school, and you just have to stick with it and just do your best. That's all you can do. Really, to be an athlete, if you want to play at the next level, you have to work either every day or multiple days a week. You can't just do it one day. You can't just sit around and do nothing. It don't matter how good you are. You just have to continue to work and get better.
She delivered a lot. She grew a lot as a player over the 4 years. Coming over from second base position to cover first on the bunt, you've got big girls running at you, and she would hang in there tough and make tons of tough catches in order to get the outs like we needed, and we could play the bunt fairly well because she'd always do her job.
I hate to lose, but sometimes you just have to look at the bigger picture, and sometimes it takes time to be able to get to a certain point, and it just, wins and losses really don't matter, because when you get older, you won't really remember it. You'll just remember the times that you've spent having fun with your friends and playing the game that you love. To be a leader means you gotta you are willing to help others before you help yourself, and I feel like I try my best to help the younger freshmen and people with their positions.
She was a real good leader, and what I liked about her, it's through action, and she's not the most loud, outspoken kid on the field, but what she does, she cares for her fellow teammates, and she works hard to lead by example.
Coach Wood, he has really helped the softball program. It's funny sometimes when he always cracks a joke, but he knows when to yell at you when you need to be yelled at, and he's just an awesome guy.
Ladies and gentlemen, please give a round of applause to Miss Grayson Cadillac James as she comes forward to accept her finalist trophy.
I really just want to thank my family and friends and everyone who's always been there for me. 4 years ago, I didn't think I would ever be able to deserve anything like this, and it just means a lot, and I wouldn't be here without the good Lord and all my teammates and coaches. Thank you.
If any name is synonymous with Ridgeland athletics, particularly during the legendary career of future Hall of Famer Mariakis, that name would be Coach Craig Parrott. Coach Parrott came to Ridgeland in 2000 following an illustrious collegiate career as a coach. As a Panther, he taught senior economics, served as assistant athletic director under then AD Chris Sykes, and coached girls basketball. Without a doubt, the highlight of his tenure as head girls basketball coach was the legendary 2003-04 season, during which his ladies compiled a 26-6 record and advanced to the Final Four of the GHSA state tournament at Georgia Tech. In 2005, Coach Parrott accepted an administrative position at Ridgeland and was elevated to the position of athletic director, where he remained until his retirement in 2014. Under his oversight, Ridgeland High School emerged as an athletic powerhouse, with several programs receiving berths to compete in state tournaments, and of course the 2012 football team, led by Vonn Bell and Darrell Bridges, advancing to the 7-4A state championship game in the Georgia Dome. Coach Parrott was appointed to the GHSA Executive Committee for 3 years and was honored as the 7-4A Athletic Director of the Year. Aside from these accomplishments, Coach Parrott is perhaps best known for his enthusiasm, sometimes fiery temperament, and creative vocabulary. Despite his attempts at a tough exterior, many of those who played under him, including our principal, Ms. Karen Hughes, could see right through to find a heart of gold. Absolutely devoted to the students of Ridgeland and to the integrity of the athletic department, Coach Parrott remains a truly beloved member of the Panther Nation. It is my honor to induct my friend and my mentor, Coach Craig Parrott, into the Ridgeland Hall of Fame Class of 2019, the greatest Ridgeland AD of all time. Please give a warm round of applause to the great Coach Craig Parrott.
Kind of laid it on there a little thick, didn't you? It's an honor to be a part of this family. It's an honor to be inducted. I want to thank the committee. When I was trying to decide whether to come here, I'm going to tell a Jack Mayo story. I ain't going to tell many stories. I'm going to be brief. But when I was trying to decide whether to come, I asked Jack Mayo, I said, Coach, I said, tell me something about Ridgeland High School. How is it different than the other public schools in North Georgia? From Ringo, Lafayette, whoever. He said, well, we just got a few more kids that need loving here. But he didn't tell me about how much those kids will love you back. And I'll tell you, it was just awesome. And the places that I've been, whether starting out in Pickens County coaching boys basketball or Chattooga, or UTC, this by far has been the most pleasant and rewarding experience. And I have so much more to be thankful for Ridgeland High School. But one of the things that, people I want to thank, and first of all would be my wife, because if you're going to spend as much time as I did, and as these other coaches do, away from home, you got to have a very supportive wife. So I want to thank my wife, Kay. Also, I want to thank Chris Sykes. He was instrumental in bringing me here to Ridgeland. Ron Peck was the principal at that time. Ron and I were thick, and he was so good for athletics here. Coach Tim Sparks, he does so much for Ridgeland High School that people don't know about. A lot of little dirty things behind the scene, and he supported me so much as an administrator, and I want to give a special thanks to Coach Sparks. And I want to thank Lindsay for I was emailing back and forth, this person, Lindsay, I don't even know what your last name is now, but she was telling me, we got to do this and do that, and I was emailing her about, the program and what we need to do and prepare for it. And I didn't know that it was Lindsay Boyle that went to school here. But I want to thank all the coaches and the athletes. One story, we had one player here, the Final Four team, was a good group of kids. I won't mention her name, but we had one player that was stubborn, and she was a sophomore when I first came here. And we butted heads, and, we did. But during one game, I took her out. She was on the bench, and I got down. I wouldn't embarrass her, but I got down there where she could hear me. And I said, I really like you. Whether you believe it or not, I really do. I like you. But I hate coaching you. And she turned out to be one of our best players. And when her senior year, She would look at me, I would look at her. When she'd screw up, I'd nod, she'd nod, and we could read each other's minds. So that was a special Tori. We had a young man right outside that office, one more story, and he's about 6'2". I think he was a freshman at the time, had a temper, had some issues. He stood out there with his mom talking to me, and whatever set him off, I'm not real sure. He called me every name that you could call somebody, and he let the F word fly a few times. And I thought, well, we had to put him out. We took him to alternative school for a while. But when he came back to Ridgeland, I told him, I said, we're going to make sure you finish. We're going to get you through school somehow. He never got in any more trouble, not because of me, but just because of him and his parents, I'm sure. But he never got in any more trouble, and I was so proud of that kid. And about 2 years after he graduated, somebody in the office came in there and said, hey, somebody out here wants to meet you. And I looked out the office there, and there's this big 6'2" kid in this dress Marine uniform. And it was him. And he said, I wanted to come by and say howdy. And that is what makes what we do, as teachers and coaches rewarding. Now, I'm going to go through a list of the coaches, and if I leave anybody out, I'm sorry. Coach Mark Mariakis, great. We had great relationships. Keith Mariakis, Coach Arver, Harden, Klein, congratulations, Coach. Coach King, Coach Knight, Coach Edge, Coach Lemons, Wood, Coach Hodge, Coach Pipes, Coach Cooper, Coach Patterson, Coach Edwards, Coach Pritchard, and Coach Hollenfield. And a special thing to my buddy, Officer Coker. I'll tell you, this man right here is great for Ridgeland High School, and you ought to be proud you got him. And again, I appreciate this. It's a great honor, and I'll always be a Ridgeland Panther. Thank you.
It's hard to believe in hindsight that Jerome Foster did not make the varsity basketball team during Ridgeland's 91-92 season. Instead, he played baseball and did his time on the freshman basketball squad, providing his coaches with some hints at the prolific scorer he would become. It did not take him long, however, to make his mark in the folklore of Ridgeland High School basketball. During his sophomore season of 92-93, Mr. Foster would average 15 points per game, setting a new school single-game scoring record of 32 points during only the second game of the season. During the 93-94 season, Mr. Foster upped his game, increasing his average to 21 points per game and breaking his own single-game record by scoring 38 points. During the grand finale that was his senior year, he again increased his average to 30 points per game, on one occasion scoring 48 points against Gordon Central. He would shatter all of his previous records and set a new mark of 54 points in a single game. Coach Klein recalls being at that game. It's a game that LFO has still not forgotten. Mr. Foster's talents did not go unnoticed. He was eventually decorated with All-State, All-Tri-State, and North Georgia Player of the Year honors, and entertained offers to play basketball for the likes of UTC, Mercer, and Mississippi State. Alongside other notables like the great Brian Richardson, Mr. Foster can credibly stake his own claim to being perhaps the greatest male basketball player in Ridgeland history. It is my pleasure to induct Mr. Jerome Foster into the Ridgeland Hall of Fame class of 2019. Please give a warm round of applause to the great Mr. Jerome Foster.
Hello, everybody. My leg went to sleep. I ain't that old, really. I'm just walking funny. I promise. It's an honor and a pleasure to be chosen amongst these great individuals being inducted into the Ridgeland 2018 Hall of Fame. I would like to thank the committee and everyone involved in making sure that those Panthers aren't forgotten about. Hopefully one day one of the youngsters will read something that we've done or something that we accomplished and be motivated to do great things or something greater than we did. Thank you.
At this time, I would like to introduce our next finalist for the Vonn Bell Award, Mr. Jacob Mariakis.
I know that if I want to achieve something, I just have to work really hard. And like more than likely, if it's in God's plan, that I'm going to achieve it. And so that's the same thing in the classroom. If I just work hard enough and like really put my time and invest myself in it, I should be able to accomplish that stuff.
From a young age, he got beat, I guess when he was 5 or 6, took him to his first national tournament in Atlanta. And he went 0-2. Fell asleep on the way home, woke up on Battlefield Parkway and wanted to get stopped by the wrestling room and practice because he didn't like what happened. That's different.
This year was the first year since freshman year that I got to wrestle the whole season. The past 2 years I've been injured into the last 4 weeks of wrestling. So this year I ended up wrestling like close to 60 matches, I think. And it was just a fun senior year. Like nothing like big happened. Just I like a challenge. I like wrestling the best people. So it's exciting. I've never really had that kind of competition in the own room. Like, I mean, I've had competition going places in wrestling, but never, like, at home. I think I just got to remember that, like, it's just a process. It's a fight every match. Like, in high school, you might fight with a kid, like, or have a kid that really wants to wrestle once every 20 kids. But in college, it's going to be every match. So I think it's going to probably just take some time to get used to that. And then once I get used to it, I think it's over.
He has the mentality he's supposed to win. So it wasn't as thrilling as all these years I've coached I thought it would be. But that last one, you knowing that you don't have that opportunity anymore, it was special. I was glad we were there. I was glad all the boys were there.
And it was a really cool moment, like after I won my 3rd state title, he was standing right there, and we just hugged, and then it was a really special moment.
Ladies and gentlemen, please give a round of applause to Mr. Jacob Mariakis as he comes forward to accept his finalist trophy.
I'd like to thank my family and God and all the people that have gotten me to this point, and thank you for the committee for letting me be up for this award. And go Mocs.
I know that
any discussion of Ridgeland High School softball must begin with the storied career of Ridgeland Hall of Fame coach Bama Smith. It was Coach Smith, after all, who was the architect behind the legendary state championship teams at Chattanooga Valley, and after consolidation with Rossville High, the first state championship at Ridgeland High School. Any discussion of Coach Bama Smith is, of course, incomplete without including the name Peggy Berry. Indeed, during the peak of Coach Smith's career, Coach Peggy Berry served as her faithful understudy, and if there was ever a case of the student eclipsing the master, it is this case. In Ridgeland's earliest days, Coach Berry served as assistants to Coach Krista Seckinger and Hall of Fame coach Sharon Van Treese. From 94 to 99, the Ridgeland softball program belonged to her. This, you will recall, was the golden age of Ridgeland softball. And under Coach Berry's leadership, the Lady Panthers would reach 3rd place in the state tournament, 2nd place, and 2 GHSA state championships. Along the way, Coach Berry was named the 1994-95 News Free Press Coach of the Year and assistant coach of the Georgia softball all-star team. Her tenure was marked by the construction, with the help of her husband Butch and the Ridgeland community, of the Ridgeland Lady Panther softball complex, and in 1996, Coach Berry reached the monumental 100-win milestone. Coach Berry is synonymous with Ridgeland High School softball greatness, but her greatest accomplishment are her husband, 3 daughters, and 7 grandchildren. It is my absolute pleasure to induct Coach Peggy Berry into the Ridgeland Hall of Fame class of 2019. Please give a round of applause to the great, legendary Coach Peggy Berry.
As I come up here tonight, there's 2 tables back there that said, you better not talk more than 5 minutes. And I told them I only had 14 pages, and I would try to read as fast as I could to get through all of that. I couldn't be up here without thanking the Hall of Fame committee for nominating me. It was quite an honor. I feel very unworthy considering this group of people that are up here tonight. So many of you have done so many things for Ridgeland. I was in here for a brief time, but I enjoyed every minute of it. I would like to thank Sharon and Krista and Bama for allowing me to kind of get into the coaching ranks with them. As a young girl, I always wanted to be a champion. I always wanted to win a game or win a trophy. And to be honest, I didn't get a trophy for anything until I was 40 years old. But that didn't mean a thing. It meant I love every minute of it. But during those years, we had some great players that came through Chattanooga Valley and Ridgeland. And I would like to take a moment to just say, if you played softball at Chattanooga Valley or Ridgeland during any of that time, would you stand up now because you left a legacy for this school? Take time. You be recognized. Come on. I was just there to kind of say, okay, you go to first and you go to second. No, let's swap. They did all the work and they did all the thing. And I'm just so proud to be here. I would like to thank David Hilly. He came tonight. He was one of my assistant coaches. I could not have made it without David. And if anybody wants somebody to ride on the bus with you and entertain the girls when you go anywhere, call David. He can sing with the best of them and keep them entertained for a 4-hour trip to Columbus or wherever they have to go. Like they say, I would like to thank Butch. He's been my sidekick for right at 50 years now. That's hard to believe. I only look 40. But he did everything that you could possibly ask a husband to do. He kept score, he cleaned helmets, he sewed gloves, and he did many, many, many hours on the Ridgeland softball field. With the help of a lot of people in his community, the second year at Ridgeland, that was the first field at Ridgeland that a team from Ridgeland got to play on this campus. And we were very proud of that. Until then, we had used a lot of the Rossville fields. And I guess my last thing is, I'm proud of my family. Me, my girls, and my grandchildren have all been fortunate enough to be part of softball and to win state championships. It doesn't happen in a family that much that I know of, but as a combined group with myself, my 3 daughters, and my granddaughter, we have 13 medallions for first place championships in the state of Georgia. And I couldn't be more proud of that. But thank you again for tonight. It's been an honor, a privilege, and Ridgeland will always have that special place in my heart. Thank you so much.
To reiterate, Bowers and Painter Field is the pride of North Georgia football. It would not be so without the generosity and patronage of the man for whom the field is named, Mr. Nelson Bowers. A successful entrepreneur with diverse interests in the retail automotive industry, Mr. Bowers owns and operates successful automobile dealerships and collision centers in the greater Chattanooga and Cleveland, Tennessee areas. He is also an active venture capitalist and investor in a variety of businesses. In 1976, at the young age of 30, Mr. Bowers became a franchise Volvo dealer in Chattanooga, and his success with that dealership led him to being awarded the BMW franchise for the market in 1977. His customer-oriented philosophy was a primary factor in his dealerships becoming market leaders. He received the highest recognition from Volvo and BMW relative to performance in sales, market penetration, customer service, and profitability. From the mid-1980s to 1997, Mr. Bowers built an industry-leading organization of 14 franchises in 8 locations in Chattanooga and Nashville with annual revenue of more than $250 million. In 1997, his primary dealership group was acquired by Charlotte-based Sonic Automotives, Inc., and Mr. Bauer served on Sonic's board of directors until 1999 when he left the organization to focus on investment banking opportunities. Mr. Bowers is currently a principal in Presidio Strategies, LLC, a San Francisco-based investment banking firm specializing in advisory services to auto dealers. In addition, he continues to own and operate successful automobile dealerships with collision centers, and collision centers in the greater Chattanooga, Tennessee, Cleveland, Tennessee, and Valdosta, Georgia areas. On an interesting side note, Mr. Bowers was involved in the NASCAR scene for many years and was one of 3 owners that formed MB2 Motorsports in 1996. A native of the Chattanooga area, Mr. Bowers is a Rossville High School alumnus, member of the legendary 1962 undefeated two-way state championship team, and member of the Rossville High Hall of Fame. He attended the University of Georgia on a football scholarship, lettered in 1966 and 1967, and served on the 1964 Sun Bowl team, the 1966 Cotton Bowl team, and the 1967 Liberty Bowl team. Mr. Bowers continues to serve on the UGA Board of Trustees. He is married to the lovely Miss Pamela Green Bowers, has 2 beautiful children, Rick and Courtney, and 5 beautiful grandchildren. He is an unwavering supporter of the Panther Nation, and for his loyalty and generosity, it is my absolute pleasure to induct Mr. Nelson Bowers into the Ridgeland Hall of Fame class of 2019. Please give a warm round of applause to the great Mr. Nelson Bowers.
First of all, I'd like to thank the committee for this honor. And second of all, I would like a copy of that to give my wife for my obituary. But Walker County and this school means a lot to my family, and growing up and going to school here. And like I say, it's a real honor, and I thank you for the honor.
At this time, I would like to introduce our next finalist for the Vonn Bell Award, Miss Alexis Quarles.
Honestly, at first, I really didn't want to because it didn't seem like my type of thing. I wanted to do like more sportier things like soccer or volleyball or something like that, but shooting worked around my schedule because I was doing a lot more things outside of school than in at that time. I came in and first time I shot like an 86 and all those good things, so he put me on the team right on the spot, so it was exciting.
Well, Alexis came to me in her junior year, second semester, and she had asked to try out for the junior ROTC team, not the school team at that time. And as soon as she tried out, I could see the determination in her face, very focused in what she was doing, very disciplined in the sport. I could see that there was something special. In fact, she had more potential than anyone who had ever tried out initially for us.
There is a whole lot of sacrifice. Like, if you have a job and you play a sport or anything, just plan on not keeping it or plan on taking a really long break, because money and work can wait, because this is like a one-time thing that you can either run with it or you can just let it sit there and be like, oh, I'll do it tomorrow, the next day, I'll improve the next day after that, and then you just waste the whole time. And once you get to the end, you're like, oh man, I need to rush and get all this done. You rush to the end and you're like, oh man, I'm failing at this, I'm really bad. What can I do to improve last minute? And that's not going to get you anywhere.
I think Alexis is just a very caring individual. She's not really concerned about herself as much as she is everyone else and what's going on in their lives, what's going to make them better. So she's always willing to help and do anything, just goes out of her way.
College is definitely my next option. Schreiner University down in Kerrville, Texas, they actually sent me an invitation. They were like, hey, you need to come down here. We're starting a shooting team. You come down, we're giving a scholarship away for $40,000. They'll give you $10,000 over 4 years. You come down here, you'll sign on, you'll be like the first female to sign on with our shooting team. First shooting team ever created at this university. We would really love to have your experience down here. And I jumped right on it. I was like, heck yeah, I'll do it.
Ladies and gentlemen, please give a round of applause to Miss Alexis Quarles as she comes forward to accept her finalist trophy.
Well, I guess I left my tooth and my speech at home today. I would like to thank Sergeant Gentry and my family for everything they've done so far. This has been a very fun time. I went from homeschooling to public school, and this is probably the best thing that ever happened in the shooting team, and I've really appreciated it so far, so thank you.
In addition to the categories of former athlete, former coach administrator, community contributor, and posthumous recognition, the Ridgeland Hall of Fame Committee determined this year to enshrine a special individual under the auspices of a new category. This category recognizes those who have emerged as fixtures in the Panther Nation for their unparalleled zeal, enthusiasm, and devotion to all things Ridgeland. These individuals are the living, breathing embodiment of spirit. They epitomize the heart of the Panther. This year, we are thrilled to induct the first ever member of the Heart of the Panther category. In 2009, an individual walked into the halls of Ridgeland High School, and over the course of the next 4 years until his graduation in 2013, emerged as the leader of an inseparable trio of Panthers. When not challenging his comrades, Kanan Middlebrooks and Seth McGee, to wrestling title matches, and when not firing Mr. Damon Raines, Mr. Cody Cope could reliably be found cheering on his Panther athletic teams with the energy and the enthusiasm of a wild bull. Particularly on Friday nights, both home and away, Cody Cope was the voice, in the darkest of times, sometimes the only voice of support and encouragement for our student athletes. For this, Mr. Cope received multiple recognitions, including Mr. RHS Most School Spirit, RHS Football Spirit Leader, and RHS Biggest Fan. If you want to know what boundless joy looks like, if you want to know what absolute loyalty looks like, if you want to know what sincere, heartfelt humor looks like, if you want to know what pure kindness looks like, look no further than the 2019 Ridgeland Hall of Fame Heart of the Panther inductee, Mr. Cody Cope. Please give a warm round of applause to our final member of the class of 2019, Cody Cope. And also, Mr. Vonn Bell wanted you to have this autographed helmet as well.
Yes. Okay. Cody doesn't want to talk, but we would like to thank each of you for this, for including my son and accepting him the way he is. And he's got one last thing for Dr. Stinson.
Mr. Raines, have you made it through the night yet without being fired? If not, it's coming. At this time, I would like to introduce our last finalist for the Vonn Bell Award, Mr. Terrence Roberts.
Man, it's different just being able to walk through these halls every day, just being able to have that Panther pride, just, walk around Fordo, Rossville area, Lafayette, just walking around with that Ridgeland, like, it just means something. Like, you just gotta honor and respect just because you got that across your chest.
He wants to be the all-around student athlete. And it shows in everything he does. It's yes, sir, no, sir. And sometimes when you look at a kid, you can't really tell. Even if he messes up, he's, okay, I can do that better.
It's just a standard, It's not a low standard. It's a high standard. You got to live up to that every single day. Just going out there, going to practice, waking up in the summers, doing those 8 a.m. workouts. It's just something you got to work towards. And just ever since I've been here, since I've been here as a sophomore, it's just getting back to the dome. That's just the main thing. And that's just in the back of my mind every single day. Just every rep, everything you do just counts. It's going towards that dome. That's where we're trying to get to. Just put everyone first. Your teammates matter, because at the end of the day, if you win, it's not going to be about you. It's about your teammates. It's about your team. It's not one win for you as a single person. If you look it up online, you go to Max Preps, it's going to say Ridgeland won that game. So it's just not about one person.
And he sees that athletics is a conduit for where he wants to go. we talk a lot about, well, what do you want to do? And, he said things like that. And I think, he looks at things in terms of where, if I do this, what would be the natural next step and the next step to get me to where my goal is. And that, that's unheard of in a lot of kids nowadays.
Of course, you want to go to college, you want to get play time, you want to start. But, yeah, my main goal is to just go to college, get my education, get play time. And once my college career is done, it's just done. I just want to go be an orthodontist, go work with people's teeth. That's my dream. My dream is to do that. My dream is playing in the NFL. And I'm just being honest. Work hard here, work hard at my 4-year university. I just want to be an orthodontist, but, I'll coach Little League teams. I'll have kids one day. They'll be able to step in these shoes. And maybe they'll be able to go pro one day. But, yeah, my goal, I just want to go to 4-year university, succeed there. That's my goal.
Ladies and gentlemen, please give a round of applause to Mr. Terrence Roberts as he's come forward to accept his finalist trophy.
Not too good at speeches, but first off, I just want to thank God, my coaches, friends, family, as far as pushing me to my best ability. And me and Coach Klein already had this conversation. We got unfinished business this upcoming season, so go Panthers.
We are now at the point in the evening when, having been introduced to our 6 worthy finalists, we will name the recipients of the Vonn Bell Award. I cannot express how proud we are of each of our athletes of the month, our Vonn Bell finalists, and now our Vonn Bell Award winners for all of their hard work, determination, dedication, and citizenship. We are so thankful to you for making Ridgeland High School a better place. Presenting this award tonight with me is Coach Klein, Mr. Vincent Bell, and the lovely Miss Vanessa Bell. And to name the 2019 Vonn Bell Award recipients, it is my honor to introduce to you number 7 for the Ridgeland Panthers and number 48 for the New Orleans Saints, Mr. Vonn Bell. Although he cannot physically be here tonight with us, he assures us that he is here in spirit, and he sends the following message.
What's up, Panther Nation? Vonn Bell checking here. Sorry I couldn't be there tonight due to schedule conflicts and beginning of the season. But tonight is going to be a wonderful night, presenting this award to 2 very special athletes and their lovely families. And tonight it means a lot because I was in your shoes before. You're reminding me like myself, but the journey continues from here. Congratulations on all your accomplishments and success right now, but don't let this stop right now. Just keep on pushing forward. And I'm just so honored and thankful for this award to be named after me. It just started a legacy, and the journey continues. And I'm sorry I couldn't be there tonight to present you this award, but I have my lovely coach Klein, Robert Spencer, and my lovely mother Vanessa Bell presenting you this award tonight. And I wish you all the best and all the success ahead of you. To the most outstanding female athlete, Miss Grayson Cadillac James.
I just want to thank my family again and God, because without him I wouldn't be able to come to school and be able to play on the softball field, and it just means a lot. Like, nobody understands how much this means to me. Thank you for everything.
To the most outstanding male athlete, Mr. Jacob Mariakis.
I would just like to thank my family again and just thank you for pushing me to be who I am today, and just hopefully I'll continue my career at UTC and just give God all the glory. Thank you.
Before we end this evening's festivities, let me direct your attention to the envelopes on your table. We are appreciative of all the families and community sponsors who generously purchased tickets for tonight's event. As you are probably aware, the Ridgeland High School Hall of Fame Committee, which organizes the National Women in Sports event, the Athlete of the Month program, the Vonn Bell Award, as well as the Ridgeland High School Athletic Hall of Fame, is 100% dependent upon your generosity and patronage. 100% of what you donate goes specifically to the Ridgeland Hall of Fame Committee for the purpose of continuing these awesome events and making them better and better each year. Please consider making a one-time or a recurring donation to this cause. If you choose to do so, you may return your envelope to one of the committee members this evening or to Miss Darla Cole, and she'll be at the back of the Commons. In addition, Hall of Fame nomination forms are available at the welcome table with Ms. Cole. If there is someone you feel is worthy of being enshrined in future classes of the Hall of Fame, please complete a nomination form and submit it to the Hall of Fame committee. Your nominations will remain active for 3 years and may be resubmitted every 3 years. Thank you so much in advance for all that you continue to do to support the Panther Nation. On behalf of Mr. Raines, the Walker County Board of Education, Ms. Hughes, Mr. Vonn Bell, and the Selection Committee, we would like to thank you all so much for coming out tonight. Please have a safe drive home. With the 2019 Vonn Bell Award finalists, as well as the members of the 2019 Hall of Fame class, please gather at the podium for pictures. Thank you so much. See you next year. Go Panthers.